Hey, what's up, y'all? Back with another video. I always wanted to do my own game awards, and I feel like I played enough games this year to do that. Now, obviously, I haven't played as much as the bigger publications, but I still played a decent amount. And I also want to say thank you to all of my viewers and subscribers, and I also want to say thank you to all of the developers and publishers that supplied this channel with keys. Really appreciate y'all. Without y'all, none of this is possible. Now, this list is going to be solely focused on games that released in 2025, so I actually had to trim a couple of games that came out maybe towards the tail end of 2024, but hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's hop into it. And we're going to start this off with the nominees for the best first-person shooter for 2025.
Ready, go.
Talk reporting. EMTs and trailers are standing.
And the winner is S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. Now, I know this is a port of a game that released last year, but this is my first time playing it, and the PlayStation 5 version has improved quite a bit from the original release with numerous fixes and changes here. When it comes to the gameplay, this is one of the only first-person shooters that really stood out to me this year. It feels drastically different from other games, and this is coming from someone that's previously played the Metro series. The overall unique feel and atmosphere set this apart from other FPS, while the massive open world map, lengthy story, dialogue choices, and multiple different endings further differentiate this from norms of the genre. I've seen some people describe this as Skyrim with guns, and I do think that's a bit of an oversimplification while also being somewhat true. There is a lot of similarities between the two games. You have an inventory system in both games. You have to worry about weight management. You can eat food in both games. You also have armor, weapons, and special items that you can equip. It's a lot of things that overlap. On top of that too, both of these games are massive in size, and they both have side quests and loads of content. So it's a fair comparison in my opinion. Now, with that being said, there definitely are some ways that it differs, and this is also a very hard game with a steep learning curve. Now, I don't think it's hard enough to really push anyone off, but you definitely have to be invested, and you have to be open to basically learning how this game works, because there is a lot that's just not like traditional first-person shooters, and I personally think that's actually a good thing. This is where I feel like a lot of this is going to come down to personal taste, but for me, this was actually one of the easier choices to make. Some of the other choices that we're going to get into later, they were really hard. I feel like it was a lot closer, but for me personally, this was the best first-person shooter I played all year, hands down. Alright, the next category up is the best roguelike, and the nominees are ready?
Yeah.
And the winner is Godbreakers. I want to say this was a really good year for roguelikes, and it was really hard to make this decision, but the main deciding factor was polish and stability. The reason I chose this as the winner is because this is the only game in the category, and a lot of categories honestly, that felt complete at launch. I did not have any bugs or glitches I ran into. There was no optimization issues, and that's very rare to say nowadays. On top of that too, they've recently added content and updates that address the only issues I had in my review. They've actually added a server browser, and they've added more content, and they seem to plan to add more content with a quick look at their roadmap. So I feel like I really had to give them this slot. And I just want to shine a light on developers that are releasing finished games and finished products. I feel like we need to reward that more. And next up, we have the nominees for the best art direction. Now, I want to give you guys a heads up. This is going to be a pretty short list. You only made my list if I enjoyed your game along with the art direction. So if there's some games you don't see, I either didn't play it or I just enjoyed these games more. And the winner is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I think my subscribers already knew I was going to pick this game if you've watched my review. In my opinion, this is the best looking 2D game I've ever played, and I feel like it's starting to fly under a lot of people's radar. It has a beautiful, vibrant color palette, and the hand-drawn art is just top-notch. In my opinion, this is one of the most visually impressive games I've seen in a while. So it wins this category hands down every time. Even if I did, even put the other games in there, I nominated the other games, I still would pick this. I'm just being brutally honest. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up with the best indie game of the year. And the nominees are Now, before I announce the winner, I want to clarify that I made sure to heavily research all the nominees and make sure they qualify for what most people would consider to be an indie game. So if you see some games excluded, it's because they fall more into the AA category. Now, with that being said, this was a really hard choice to make. The winner is Suit for Hire. All the nominees are great games, but what gave this game an edge for me was the fun factor. I really enjoy the mix of gameplay elements on display here. You have elements from Super Hot, Max Payne, and Hotline Miami all beautifully blended together, and it creates its own unique experience. I also love how the game wears its inspirations on its sleeves. This game is filled with Easter eggs, callbacks, and nods to various other games. It just really feels like an indie game. To me, it feels like the old school indie games that I grew up with. So maybe I'm being a little biased, but I really do enjoy the fun factor. It's like I wish more games kind of steered towards what was fun instead of just trying to be serious and trying to, win awards. Just make a really fun experience. Make me feel like I'm in an action movie. A lot of people are calling this the John Wick simulator. That's one of the reasons why I kind of didn't cover it. Felt like it was one of the more overcovered indie games, but I really enjoyed it, and it's my winner for game of the year. And that pretty much does it for all the winners. I feel like I didn't play enough games to announce another winner in some of the other genres. With that being said, I still want to talk about some of the games like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I feel like that was a great remaster. Now, I definitely could use another update, but I feel like Ninja Gaiden 2 is a great game, so a remaster of it is a no-brainer. I also want to talk about Hyperlight Breakers. I know a lot of people have kind of, turned on the game since they've announced that they're getting ready to end development for it, but I really enjoyed this game. This is like probably some of the most fun I've had this year was playing this. Now, it definitely has problems. That's why I didn't really win anything, but honestly, I'm still hopeful that the next update is going to be a big one, and maybe it's going to breathe some life into the game before they walk away from it. I still really like this game. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it kind of surprised me how much I enjoyed it the more I played it. I also want to give a shout out to Pocket Bravery. I had so much fun playing this. If you guys are a fan of retro 2D fighters, definitely check this game out. Like, it reminded me so much of King of Fighters and, Street Fighter, S.N.K., Fatal Fury, all of those games. It just reminded me so much of those games. And I had so much fun playing this with other people that are fighting game fans. I literally have gotten hours of fun out of just doing the versus mode. And it definitely has loads of other content. You have story mode, you have arcade mode. I'll talk about it more in the review. I'm going to try to link some of those, but definitely check that game out. There's a couple other games I wanted to talk about, but I had to limit myself to everything that released this year in 2025. Also want to give a shout out to Dead Zone Rogue. It just recently received an update with more free content and some DLC also, some paid DLC also. It's an excellent roguelike. The only issue is, it has a couple of technical issues on PC. I know some of my friends are having trouble running it on their rigs. Me personally, it runs fine on mine. It does cause a little bit of overheating, but that's something I definitely had to subtract from. That's one of the reasons why I didn't select it as a winner. I could not play this with some of my friends because they're actually still having issues with the game. But aside from that, I feel like it's a fantastic first-person roguelike. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed the video, man. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.